Hi Year 11, this is Mr. McLeod speaking. Showing the board are 6 starter questions. Please pause the video here for 10 minutes and work through those 6 questions. Complete them in your books please. We'll do the answers afterwards. Okay, so there are your 6 answers to the starter. Please mark in green pen and be ready to move on to the next couple of examples for the lesson. Today the learning objective is to know how to rearrange formula. Okay, so starting off with the real basics. First one, we got make y the subject, and it says a plus y equals x. So, making y the subject means that in the end, we want an answer that says y equals something. So we want to find out what y equals. That's what making y the subject means. So you see the first one, we've got a plus y equals x. And we want just y on its own. We want y equals something. So look at this side, a plus y. I want to get rid of that a because I want y on its own. So I'm going to take away a from this side. But because it equals this, I also need to do the same thing to the other side, just to make sure both sides of the equals stay balanced. So taking a away from this side means I get just y, and taking a away from this side means I get x take away a. Likewise, for the bottom one, we've got to make y the subject. So I want y on its own. Well, I got y take away a. I want to get rid of this take away a, so I'll do the opposite. I add a. But I need to do that to both sides to make sure I keep the equal sign balanced. So add a to both sides. That leaves me with y on this side, y equals, so y is the subject, x add a. Please pause the video, copy down both I do's, and then work through both of the we do's for me. So for the first we do, a plus b equals x. You should take away a from both sides because we're making b the subject. I want b on its own, so I'm taking away this a. Take a off both sides, we get b equals x take away a. For the bottom one, again, making b the subject, I want b on its own. So I'll get rid of this take away a. So I'm going to add a to both sides. So I get x add a equals b. Or b equals x add a. B is now the subject. Please be ready to move on. You should have marked that in green pen. Okay, so slightly different now. Make y the subject. And you'll see it says x equals y times a. Remember, this is y times a. So we want y on its own. So we want to get rid of this times a. So we're going to do the opposite. Y times a. Let's divide by a. But we've got to do that to both sides to keep the equal sign balanced. Do the same thing to both sides of the equals. So we're going to get x divided by a equals y times a divided by a. So y times a divided by a, well, the a's cancel each other out. That's why we did the opposite. The a's cancel each other out, so we're left with just y. And just y equals x divided by a. So y is now the subject. Y equals x divided by a. Please pause the video, copy this one down, and then try the we do for yourselves. So for the we do, x equals b times a. We divide by a to get rid of this times by a. And that gives us b equals x divided by, that should be a on the bottom there. B equals x divided by a. Well done if you got that right. Please give yourself a tick in green pen if you did. Please make a note of where you went wrong if you made any mistakes. So for the next one, we've got to make y the subject, and it says x take away a equals 3ay. This is 3a times y, or 3 times a times y. So I want to get rid of this 3a because I want the y on its own. So, because I'm timesing by 3a, I'm going to divide by 3a, do the opposite. And I have to do that to both sides of the equals to keep both sides equal. So dividing this 3ay by 3a cancels out the 3a, so I'm left with just the y. And then I have x take away a, all divided by 3a. So y equals x take away a divided by 3a. Please copy that down and then try the we do by yourselves. So for the we do, making b the subject, and it's x take away a equals 5ab, or 5a times b. So we got to get rid of the 5a. We got to get rid of that. So let's do the opposite. 5a times b, well, let's divide by 5a to cancel that out. So dividing this side by 5a leaves me with just b. And dividing this side by 5a gives me x take away a divided by 5a. So b is the subject now, because it's b equals. That means b is the subject. b equals x take away a divided by 5a. Please get that down in your books if you didn't do it yourselves, and mark it in green pen, please. Okay, so last couple of I do and we do. So make y the subject. Now you'll notice this one's different because we've got 2y on one side and we've got 3y on the other side. So it can be a bit confusing as to what we should do for our first step. But it's quite simple, really. Look at both sides. Decide to yourself which side has a greater number of y. Well, this has 3y, this has 2y. So the side with the greater number of y, that's the side we want to get all the y's on. So we want to get rid of this 2y. So let's get rid of the y's on this side. I'm going to do that by subtracting 2y. This is plus 2y. I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to subtract 2y. So subtracting 2y from both sides, 3y take away 2y, that gives me 1y, or just y. And x take away a, add 2y, take away 2y, leaves me with just the x take away a part. So now I've got y as the subject. Y equals x take away a. Please copy that down and then try the we do for yourselves. Remember, choose the side that has the greater number of b in this case. That's the side you want to get the b's on. So for the we do, we've got 4b on this side, we've got 5b on that side. I want to get the b's on this side. So I need to get rid of this plus 4b. So do the opposite, subtract 4b. Do that to both sides of the equals to keep both sides equal. So x take away a, add 4b, take away 4b. Well, those two cancel each other out, so we're left with just x take away a. And 5b take away 4b gives me 1b, or just b. So b equals x take away a. B is the subject because we've got b equals. Remember, that's what it means by making b the subject. Get b equals. Okay, so here are some questions for you to try. And you're making x the subject in each one of these questions. So, there's 15 questions there for you. Please pause the video for 20 minutes or more if necessary. Work through those 15 questions in your books, please. Be ready to mark in green pen afterwards. So, here are your 15 answers to the questions we just did. Please mark in green pen. Remember, we are making x the subject, so each of these answers should look like x equals something. And for some exam questions, here's 3 questions that are in an exam style format. You might get these sort of questions in the exam. Please try these 3 questions in your books. Please write the questions as well. Pause the video for 10 to 15 minutes. Work through those 3, please. Be ready to mark in green pen afterwards. So, here are your 3 answers. Please mark those in green. Did anyone get all 3 of those right? Well done if you did. Okay, so now we have some squares and square roots coming up. So this one says make b the subject, and it's b squared equals m. Well, b squared equals m. B's not the subject because it's b squared. We want just b equals, not b squared. B squared is the subject at the minute. So I need to get rid of this squared. Easiest thing to do is square root both sides. So square root of this side, square root that side. And that gives us b equals square root of m. Be wary that we've got a plus and a minus here. Now the reason for that, if you imagine the square root of 81, well, the answer is 9, but the answer could also be negative 9, because negative 9 times negative 9 makes positive 81. So when you have an even root, I should say, not even square root, when you have an even root, so when you take in the root of 2 or the root of 4 or the root of 6 even, you're going to get a positive and a negative solution. That's just something to note. Don't focus too much on that. Focus more on this part, the square root of m. For the second one, make b the subject. Well, again, we start with b squared, the subject. Easiest thing, to get rid of that squared, just square root both sides. So you get b equals square root of m, take away a. Bonus points if you remember the plus and the minus. Please pause the video here, copy down those 2 examples, and then try both the we-dos. So for the first we-do, square root of both sides, we get a equals plus or minus square root of b. And again, making a the subject, all we need to do, square root both sides, so we get a equals plus or minus square root of b, take away m. Well done if you got both those right. And now, we have a slightly different one. We've got b cubed this time equals minus m over t. Simple solution, b cubed is the subject. We want just b as the subject, so take the cube root of both sides. So we get b equals the cube root of negative m over t. Please try the we-do now in your books. So for the we-do, take the cube root of both sides, so we get cube root, a equals cube root of negative m over t plus p. Mark that in green pen, please. So now we have square root of b equals m. And here the square root of b is the subject. Again, I want just b as the subject, so I've got to get rid of this square root. Easiest thing to do, square both sides. So we're squaring this side and we're squaring that side. So we get b equals m squared. Remember, we square both sides because we want to keep the equal sign true. So we have to do the same thing to both sides. So square this side, square this side. We get b equals m squared. And for this bottom one, this 3 with the square root symbol, that means the cube root. So for this one, we've just got to cube both sides. So cube the cube root of b, that just gives me b, and cubing m gives me m cubed. Please pause the video, try both the we-dos. Okay, so for the first we-do, square root of a equals m. Square both sides, we get a equals m squared. For the second one, cube root of a equals m. Well, we want that should say A as the subject, not Z. Apologies for that. So we want just A as the subject. So we've got a cube both sides. So cubing this side gives A, and cubing this side gives M cubed. So A equals M cubed. Please mark those in green pen, and really well done if you're getting that right. On the board are 12 questions for you. Please pause the video here and allow 15 to 20 minutes to work through those. In each of these cases, you are making D the subject. D is the subject. So here are your answers on the board. Notice that when we have an even square root, again, we have a plus or minus in front of it. But for this one, let's say, well, here we've got cube root. We don't have a plus or minus. That's because a negative times a negative times a negative cubed, won't give a positive solution. It will always just give a negative solution. So we only have to worry about the plus or the minus when we're taking an even root. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, so on. Please mark those in green pen. Well done if you got those all right. Question 2. You're making G the subject. Now, these look more similar to the last example we did. Please work through these 9 questions, so pause the video for 10 minutes, work through those 9 questions. Here are your answers to the past 9 questions. Please mark in green pen. Check how many you got out of 9. Did anyone get 9 out of 9? Well done if you did. And last question, question 3, make H the subject. So pause the video and work through those 6 questions. Be ready to mark afterwards. Once again, here are your solutions. Please mark in green pen. Right, so look at these 2 questions. We're making C the subject in the first I do. And it says C divided by M plus A equals Z. So this is C divided by M plus A. And we want just C alone on this side. Well, C is being divided by M plus A. So I'm going to multiply by M plus A. Both sides to keep the equal sign true. So multiplying this side by M plus A cancels this out, so we're left with just C. And multiplying the other side by M plus A gives me Z times by M plus A, all in brackets. Note, you don't have to expand the brackets here. This answer is fine. Please do the we do in your books. Pause the video now, work through the we do. So, A divided by B take away 3 equals 5. Well, A is being divided by B take away 3. So you're going to multiply both sides by B take away 3. A equals 5 times B take away 3. Well done if you got that right. And now we have make C the subject, and it's C times by M plus A equals Z. So C is being multiplied by M plus A this time. So again, ignore this solution. Sorry, this is incorrect. Ignore this. So C times by M plus A. What we're going to do the opposite of times in by M plus A. Divide by M plus A. So you should get C equals Z divided by M plus A. Remember, we do the opposite. Divide by M plus A as your first step. So C equals Z divided by M plus A. And again, apologies for the wrong solution. This is A times by B take away 3 equals 5. Because A is being times by this and we want just A equals, we're going to divide by B take away 3 to cancel this out. So your answer should be A equals 5 divided by B take away 3. Well done if you got that right. I'm sorry for this incorrect solution. Ignore this, please. So A equals 5 divided by B take away 3. So on the board there are 6 questions. You're making P the subject. So remember, if you're dividing by something, times by that. And if you're timesing by something, divide by that. Please make P the subject in each one of these. Pause the video for 10 minutes, work through those 6 questions. Be ready with the green pen to mark afterwards. So here are your 6 questions. Please mark in green pen. Okay, so for the last 9 questions of the lesson, please pause the video here for as long as needed, work through those 9, and we'll go through the answers afterwards. Okay, so there are your 9 answers. Please mark in green pen. Thank you for listening, Year 11, and I'll see you again soon. Well done for today.